I know we would keep clapping for the rest of the day, but before he left, you all may be seated now. Thank you. Before he left the Kennedy School, now Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter was sitting around this table with a group of gurus in international policy, and one of the comments he made was that this idea of inclusive security, it's a great idea, but it's ahead of its time. Well, the good news is that, as you're about to see, that time has come. And you're going to be seeing all kinds of spectacular women who are up here and policymakers speaking to this subject, because it's individuals like you who are in this audience who are making the difference. And let's face it, some of you, you've adopted this idea and it's audacious, but it's obvious doctrine to you. And there are others of you here, and on live stream, by the way, who are intrigued by the notion, but you're kind of looking at the possibility, but you're not sure that there's really a trove of these untapped resources who could come in and be a force for combating the violence that you're dealing with all the time. In either event, let's all remember what my African friends have taught me and us, which is that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so I want to especially single out the U.S. embassies all around the world and our partners who have been so spectacular with us every step of the way. And there isn't one partner who is more effective and constant with us than the U.S. State Department. And please welcome Ambassador Kathy Russell.
You're the best. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. We've been talking about this event for so long. I'm so happy to finally see it come about. We're here this afternoon to answer some very important questions. Where do we stand today on making peace and security efforts more inclusive? And going forward, how can we better collaborate with women leaders to tackle challenges all around the world? Consider two recent events that give these questions some context. The first was a Nobel Prize awarded last week to a civil society organization in Tunisia. The National Dialogue Quartet helped keep their country on the path to democracy, even in the face of violence and real adversity. The sole woman of that group described the quartet's goals during the first meeting. She said, "We have to do something for our country. We have to avoid violence, and we have to be together." To me, her words say something very important about why we're here today. Inclusive approaches to peace and security aren't just about collaboration. They're about the common sense notion that we're stronger if we work together. Which brings me to the second event I wanted to describe, a little less historic, but in many ways just as telling. Elle magazine released a video this week showing actual photos of groups of powerful leaders with the men photoshopped out of the photo. I don't know if any of you saw these. No surprise, once the men were removed, the photos were virtually empty. There was a photo of 30 heads of state meeting with the Queen of England, and once the men were photoshopped out, there were only two other women besides the Queen, German Chancellor Merkel and Argentina's Fernandez de Kirchner. The video graphically demonstrates how the promise of inclusion hasn't always translated to progress, not in politics, not in peace processes, and not in militaries and police forces. And the perceptions of women and girls remain stubbornly one-dimensional. People still tend to look at them as victims instead of influencers and leaders. Today, we're privileged to hear from really some amazing women who prove that these perceptions are wrong. I'd like to offer three really quick and simple ideas for things that I think we can do to support these women and countless others like them around the world. First, and I think most important, women really don't have the time to wait. How often, and I hate to say how often I've been in meetings where this has come up, where we hear that, of course, women should participate, we agree with that, but first we need to do something. First we need to get the combatants to the table, or first we need to deal with difficult military challenges. Then women can have a seat at the table, or then women can join the conversation. We all know this answer is not good enough. No surprise to anyone here, a study released just this week found that peace processes with women participating had more successful agreements than peace processes with just men. So let's end this concept of first then. I hear it so often and it does truly drive me crazy, and let's replace it with first women. Let's embrace the truth that every step along the way, women have unique and valuable contributions to make, and their participation will make all of our efforts stronger and more successful. Second, it's very important that we build a pipeline for women at all levels in peace and security sectors. And again, I hear about this a lot. If women aren't on the local police force or the local council, they're not developing the expertise and leadership they need to enter and influence the national conversation. Women starting their careers in government, women learning the ropes as civil society activists, women joining the security sector, they are our future partners and we need to support them. If they're not in the pipeline now, we can't expect them to be leaders at the top in the next 20 years. Finally, and this is again, really important, simply being there is not enough. Women are not window dressing in peace and security. Their presence can't simply check a box. Women need to be prepared well to sit at the table, and their contributions need to be heard and valued. As we look into the future, there is unfortunately no shortage of credible challenges that threaten peace and security around the world. We here know that women are key to addressing these challenges. That's why for the United States, it's been a tremendous priority. And earlier this week, Ambassador Power at the UN announced a series of commitments by the United States totaling more than $31 million at the UN Security Council. This investment for us is part of our ongoing commitment to women as equal partners in peace and security. And that commitment comes from the top, from President Obama, from Secretary Kerry, and from Secretary Carter. Because what's true for peace and security is also true for progress. It takes a group effort. And that's why we are incredibly grateful to Ambassador Hunt and Inclusive Security for co-hosting this event and for their tremendous leadership over the years. We're also grateful to all of you for being here and for the work you do on these issues every single day. Today is about the cutting edge of collaboration in peace and security. But before we look forward, we have a video that looks back at the progress we've made over the past 20 years.